that we will need your assistance, Kabiyesi, in mobilizing the electorate to come out in large numbers that day. We do not want to witness a low turnout. Osun has registered more than 2 million voters. We want, if possible, 2 million people should come out, voters should come out that day. And we know that with the intervention of our honored Kabiyesis, who are the grassroots, we rely on your intervention to help us mobilize the people to come out en masse that day. The security forces are on ground to assure our safety, because most people, they will say that because of insecurity, they won't come out. No. The security forces are on top of the game, and they will adequately provide enabling environment for us to come out en masse that day. I want to use this opportunity to specifically appeal to our youths. 60% of voters in Osun State are youths. 60%. They are youths. But we don't want a situation where our youth will convert August 15 to a premiership date. No. Many of them will be on the field, on the road playing. No. Please, the youth of Osun State, we are appealing to you. Spare that one single day. Go to the polls. Exercise your voting right for that day, so that at the end of the day, you can claim that this is our government. Whichever person is elected, you will claim this is our government. So I'm appealing to you, sir, our youth, to please come out en masse that day. The Honorable Rec of Osun State is on ground, who will provide us, who will do adequate justice to all the details that we need to know about our preparations for the election. Lastly, once again, I sincerely thank our development partners, the KDI. I sincerely thank you for organizing this very important summit. I thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Please, a round of applause. Please do it better. Thank you so much, Prof, for the message from the HINEC chairman. For the next 2 minutes, of course, maybe to 3, we would be hearing also from hard development partners, and that is the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO. Please join me. Welcome Dr. Matthew Ayibakuro, the Governor's Advisor for FCDO. Please, a round of applause for him, please. Please do it better. Please do it better. Thank you so much.
Your Excellencies, our traditional fathers here present, religious leaders, our security agencies, the Independent National Electoral Commission, civil society, and other stakeholders in the room. For the sake of time, please permit me to adopt the protocol already established. It's a real pleasure to join today on behalf of the British High Commission at this important peace and security summit ahead of the governorship election in this land of virtue. I am a governor's advisor at the British High Commission, as Femi mentioned, and I lead the UK's work in support of democratic governance in Nigeria. And this includes our work supporting INEC, supporting the National Assembly, the judiciary, security agencies, and other democratic institutions. I'm here with my colleague, Wale, who is our senior political advisor covering the Southwest, including Osun State. To be honest, really in his domain, so I'm grateful he's letting me speak on behalf of the team. I want to begin by commending the government of Osun State. I want to commend INEC, the security agencies, and all the other stakeholders in the room who have contributed to convening this dialogue and also demonstrated very admirable goodwill by being here in person today. The broad range of stakeholders in the room today reflects a very important fact that peaceful, credible, and inclusive elections are often a shared responsibility. No single institution can deliver this on their own. They depend on the collective commitment of those entrusted with safeguarding democracy in Osun State for the present and also for the future of the state. The importance of this summit extends beyond just the forthcoming election in Osun State. In Nigeria, as is often the case elsewhere, off-cycle elections increasingly serve as important indicators of the health of a country's democratic system and offers opportunities to build confidence ahead of future elections. The Osun election comes at a particularly significant moment as stakeholders across Nigeria begin to look towards the 2027 general elections and to also reflect on lessons from previous elections, particularly the recent poll in Ekiti State. At its very core, democracy depends on public trust. Citizens must be confident that elections are conducted fairly, that their votes count, and that the outcome reflects the will of the people. That confidence is strengthened when electoral competition is peaceful, when political actors conduct themselves responsibly, and when security agencies act professionally and impartially so that citizens are able to participate in the elections without fear or intimidation. This is why the theme of today's summit is very significant. Electoral violence does not just threaten the lives of people and their property, it undermines democratic legitimacy. It discourages participation and weakens public confidence in democratic institutions in any country. By contrast, and by equal measure, peaceful elections create the conditions for genuine political competition, meaningful citizen participation, and ultimate acceptance of electoral outcomes. This is why the United Kingdom is really happy to be extending this partnership to this program today. We are glad to be a long-standing partner of Nigeria's democratic journey. Our support over many years reflects our shared belief that democratic institutions are essential for stability, prosperity, and inclusive development. We have worked alongside Nigeria's institutions and civil society because we recognize that democracy is not a single event, but it's a continuous process of strengthening institutions, promoting accountability, and building public trust. As we look ahead to the elections in Osun State, I would like to offer just 3 quick reflections from our perspective. Firstly, is the fact that the responsibility for peaceful elections belongs to everybody in the room here today. Political parties and candidates play a very important role in setting the tone for every campaign. The ability of political leaders to place the interests of citizens and democratic stability above their short-term political advantage will be a critical determinant of the success of this election. Secondly, institutions matter. The professionalism and impartiality of INEC, security agencies, the judiciary, and the media are all essential to maintaining confidence in an electoral process. Democratic progress depends not only on the elections themselves, but on the strength of the institutions that underpin these elections. My third point is on inclusion. Democracy is strongest when all citizens feel able to participate equally. Women, young people, people with disabilities, and other marginalized groups must be able to engage fully and safely throughout the electoral process. The legitimacy of democratic outcomes is enhanced when elections reflect the voices and aspirations of the entire population, not just the most powerful, the most capable, or even the most visible. Ladies and gentlemen, the choice made in Osun State over the next month will resonate far beyond the election alone. They will help shape public confidence ahead of the 2027 elections. They will send important signals about elections and election competition can be managed peacefully in Nigeria, and they will contribute to the country's broader democratic journey. Nigeria's democracy has traveled a very remarkable journey. It has demonstrated resilience, adaptability, and growth through successive election cycles over the years. And as partners and friends of Nigeria, the UK remains optimistic about the future of democracy in this country. That future, however, will ultimately be determined not by development partners like ourselves or by observers of the election process, but by the Nigerians themselves through the actions of their institutions, political leaders, civil society, and citizens across the country. The British High Commission stands with you in this journey, and we look forward to working with you to help ensure that the elections, including the 2027 elections, are credible, peaceful, and inclusive. Let me conclude, therefore, by commending our partner and organizers of this summit, KDI, Bukola and his team, but also the Osun State Peace and Mediation Committee, led by our Royal Father who spoke earlier, for all the work that you have put into getting us to this point. I want to thank everybody else for demonstrating your commitment to a peaceful and inclusive election next month by your presence here today. As your partner, we are encouraged by your devotion to dialogue, to collaboration, and to collective action, which are fundamentals of any democracy, but more importantly, in this land of virtue. As you can tell, I really love the motto of Osun State. And with that, all that is left is to wish you very productive deliberations for the rest of the day and hopefully beyond until the election day. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that remark, Dr. Matthew Ayebakuro. Right now, I want to respectfully invite the Resident Electoral Commissioner, Independent National Electoral Commission, Osun State, Mrs. Oluwatoyin O. Babalola, for the speech on INEC State of Readiness and Operational Focus for Osun 2026 gubernatorial election. You're welcome, ma'am.
The Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, ably represented by Professor Kunle Ajayi, National Commissioner supervising Osun, Ogun, and Ondo State, and also the Chairman, Board of Electoral Institute, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, the CP, our esteemed Royal Fathers, civil society, heads of security agencies here present, civil society organizations, political parties, and their candidates. It is my pleasure to be part of this timely and significant Osun election, Peace and Security Summit. I bring greetings from Independent National Electoral Commission, Osun State, and Nigeria as a whole. I want to sincerely commend Kimpact Development Initiative, KDI, for convening this strategic engagement at a crucial stage of preparations for the forthcoming Osun State governorship election. You all agree with me that election is a cornerstone for democratic governance, but it can only truly reflect the will of the people when conducted in an atmosphere of peace, order, and security. While INEC is constitutionally mandated to organize, undertake, and supervise election, the success of the election is a collective responsibility. And central to this responsibility is the indispensable role of the security agencies, whose professionalism, neutrality, vigilance, and collaboration provide secure environment necessary for citizens to freely exercise their democratic rights. Talking about security, INEC attributes great importance to the conduct of election in a secure and peaceful environment. In furtherance of this commitment, INEC has undertaken comprehensive training programs for electoral officers, assistant electoral officers, and senior management staff on election risk management. Furthermore, the Commission has deployed advanced methodologies and tools for election risk assessment. We have other tools, but they are not exhaustive. I'll just mention a few. We have embarked on ground truthing exercise to identify, assess, and map electoral risk factors across all the local governments and registration areas in Osun State, so that we can have evidence-based intelligence to support strategic planning, targeted interventions, and informed operational decision-making throughout the electoral process. We have what we call INEC Security and Alert Notification System, INEC SANS, Election Violence Mitigation Advocacy Tool, IVMAT, and we have also identified flashpoints and difficult terrains. We have engaged with security and community leaders, youth and student union leaders on the importance of peace before, during, and after election, as well as the need for them to shun violence. We have engaged with women as well and persons with disabilities. The Commission maintains a robust and enduring partnership with security agencies through the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, we call it ICSES, and this collaborative framework, through this collaborative framework, comprehensive measures have been put in place to prevent, mitigate, and respond effectively to potential security threats before, during, and after the election. In addition, as you are all aware, the DIG supervising Southwest and the Inspector General of Police and the Commissioner of Police have held different strategic peace meetings against violence ahead of the election. And I think we can feel the impact of that meeting. The Commission's message to political actors this morning, as well as the electorate, is choose issue-based campaign rather than intimidation, inflammatory rhetorics, hate speeches, and misinformation that incites religious, ethnic, and tribal divisions. There is a lot of disinformation and misinformation in the public domain, especially against INEC, against the issue of permanent voters card that we have not seen here. We hear that they are in my office and they are in different places. We are busy issuing things. There are so many misinformation in the public domain, and we need to counter them. Another message I have today: political differences. Our political actors should understand that political differences should not translate into personal hatred or violence, and that no political ambition is worth the blood of any citizen of Osun State or any Nigerian. We should educate political parties and their candidates should educate their supporters and followers that victory should be celebrated with humility, while disappointment should be managed within the confines of the law. Religious and traditional rulers, our royal fathers, we urge you to continue serving as a voice of conscience and peace in our communities. We know that you know how to touch the conscience of the citizens in your communities. Stakeholders should respect the law and electoral process. On this note, I would like to inform this gathering on INEC's level of preparedness for the upcoming governorship election. Osun State INEC is we are fully aware and committed to our mandate to deliver free, fair, credible, inclusive, and transparent election that actually reflects the will of the people of Osun State. It is both appropriate and pertinent to provide this gathering with an overview of the Commission's level of preparedness for the forthcoming election. I will highlight the strategic measures, operational milestones, and institutional arrangements which were put in place to ensure the successful conduct of this election. If we look at the timetable for election, it has 13 activities. And out of these 13 activities, 10 have been achieved. Last week, Thursday, we presented the register of voters to political parties. And under the timetable, it ought to have been 22nd of July. But INEC, in its proactiveness, if we finish our work ahead of time, why not? The certificate was this register was presented on 9th, and it has the names of all registered voters that existed before the conduct of the CVR and those that registered during the CVR. We have just 3 pending activities, which is the campaign that is ongoing, the publication of notice of poll, and the conduct of its election itself. I'll speak briefly on the CVR that was conducted from August 2025 to May 2026. We conducted this CVR so that those who have attained the age of 18 can have the opportunity to register, and all Nigerians in Osun State that could not register previously. Also, those who lost their cards or had damaged their cards, those who want to transfer, and also those who had problems with their accreditation during the last election. We also used this opportunity, to distribute uncollected permanent voters card. This was done simultaneously. Prior to the CVR, Osun State had 1,954,800 registered voters. And after the successful conclusion of the CVR, we now have 2,339,233 registered voters. This remarkable increase reflects the sustained efforts of INEC to broaden electoral participation and ensure that all citizens are afforded the opportunity to exercise their constitutional rights. I'll go into a few details about the CVR. After the general registration during the CVR, we had 381,817 fresh registrants. But you know, we have our own process. We'll go and check it through the ABs to make sure there's no double registration. And in the course of checking, we found 30,639 duplicates. These duplicates, 23,068 out of them are those people who registered twice during the CVR. Somebody will register in Orolu and jump to Oloruda again to go and register. But our system is foolproof. It will pick them out. We also discovered that we had 7,571 old registered voters that, despite all the voter education, still went ahead to register again. So those ones were taken out. There are 30,639. We had 26,202 voters transferring into Osun State and 7,125 transferring out of Osun State. Most of the registered voters are female. They represent 52.79% of the voters, registered voters, and male is 47.21%. A large percentage of the registered voters are between the ages of 18 to 34. They represent 36.64% of registered voters. The CVR gave opportunities to persons with disabilities to vote, to register, and we were able to register 8,021 persons with disabilities. On voter education, we recognize the importance of voter participation in election and the need to address voter apathy. The Commission has sustained collaboration with critical stakeholders to ensure effective participation of the electorate. And we deployed multiple media channels, including radio, television, social media, street show, market outreaches, stakeholders meeting, visit to traditional rulers, engagement with faith-based organizations and community leaders, town hall meetings to reach diverse groups. Our jingles, our videos are being heard on a daily basis. We are currently sponsoring also a 30-minute program in different stations. We have conducted strategic and inclusive sensitization activities targeting marginalized groups, women, youth, and persons with disabilities. And we have also been relating with non-governmental organizations. About 30 of them are going to be deployed to the local governments this week to continue the sensitization process. In a bid to have a very inclusive election, we are deploying magnifying glasses, braille ballot guides, and we are giving priority to persons with disabilities on election day, as well as the elderly and nursing mothers. We understand the need to have good media coverage. Without the media, what we are doing cannot get to the public, and we need good coverage of our activities. INEC has opened a media accreditation portal for the governorship election. It was opened on 2nd June and it will close on 2nd of August. We encourage all qualified media organizations that intend to cover the election to complete the accreditation process within the stipulated time to enable them cover the election. We have been engaging with critical stakeholders, political parties, the media, and CSO. On our operational activities, we have a number of pre-election activities which we have been executing to ensure that we are able to deliver on our mandate. We are currently recruiting ad hoc staff. The portal opened on 27th June and it will close on 18th July. Qualified applicants will be shortlisted from the INEC press, and the focus of the recruitment is competence, neutrality, integrity, and professionalism. All eligible persons are advised to apply. We have carried out a lot of trainings, and on our own, we use our initiative. Before the normal training, we went into the NYSC camp, and we scheduled a training for 8 weeks. We call it route training, so that we have trained them ahead of the normal training for the election. We have concluded this training last week, and it has been very fruitful. We have trained our EOs, we have trained women, we have trained young people, and we have also received training sponsored by our development partners on management of crisis, fact-checking, and proactive public engagement. We have all our training for our ad hoc staff. We have started today, and these trainings will continue till 7th of August. In Osun State, we recognize Osun State INEC that the success of any election is the quick and fast deployment of men and material to polling units on election day. Early opening of poll is sacrosanct. It is not negotiable. And that's one of the reasons why INEC is using super racks and racks to camp ad hoc staff on the eve of election, so that nobody will say something delayed me from getting to my polling unit on time. And what do we do in these racks? We camp them there, we do refresher training, they check through their materials, and they have security, they have transport, so that they will be able to open polls early. I am trusting God that by special grace in Osun State, come 15th of November, we will wait for voters. Voters will not wait for us. Thank you. As regards sensitive materials, we have received, non-sensitive materials, we have received 95% of our materials. We have done the needful. They are in the local governments and they are safely kept. Our sensitive materials will come on the week of election, and we promise that they will be adequately deployed to local governments in the right quantity and on time. Regarding transportation, you know, there are some aspects of this work that is not totally within our control. Just as you talk about security, we are not the police, we are not security agencies, we will only collaborate. The same thing goes with transport. Yes, we pay, whoever pays the piper dictates the tune. But at the same time, we need to have good collaboration with transport organizations so that our men and material will be transported at the right time. We have held several engagements with them, and they have given us assurance that we will receive vehicles in the right quantity and they will be dispatched on time. All those vehicles will be inspected by the Federal Road Safety Corps before the election, and they have promised to establish a situation room for us so that we can quickly contact them before, during, and after election in case there is any problem with any of their drivers. And on their own, after meeting with us, they were inspired and they decided to have a training for all their officials. They even invited INEC to provide facilitators at that training. And I tell you, the training was very fruitful. It was held on 22nd of June. Regarding bimodal voter accreditation system, this is what we use to authenticate and accredit voters on election day. INEC Osun State will be deploying 3,763 BVAS devices to the polling units for voter accreditation and to ensure that only registered voters with permanent voters card vote on election day. In addition to accreditation, this BVAS is used to upload polling unit results directly to INEC results viewing portal, what we call IREV. And this is one of the steps INEC has taken to make election more transparent. I need to tell this gathering, INEC result viewing portal is just a result viewing portal. Just like when I snap this and I write figures on it and I post it, it cannot total itself. It's just a result viewing portal. It is not a tallying portal. So for some persons have misconception that immediately you post the result, it will start totaling the result. That is not true. It's just a picture and it's a viewing portal. The BVAS that we have, they are all charged. We have enough backup in case anyone malfunctions, but we do not think it should. We are engaging one registration area technical support staff for each registration area. And under each registration area, there are just a few polling units. So if there's any technical issue, the presiding officer will call the RATEC so that they will quickly attend to them. I want to state categorically here that nobody in Osun State can vote without permanent voters card. And I want to discourage people, the vote buyers and the vote sellers. Every voter should know that when you sell your vote, you sell your future. When you sell your vote, you cannot hold your leaders accountable. You put yourself in slavery for the next 4 years over peanuts. And for the vote buyers, it is better to engage in issue-based campaign, sell yourself to the electorate rather than buy their conscience. In addition, vote buying and vote selling, they are both offenses under the Electoral Act. And the ICPC and EFCC, they are already on ground. They have started their work, and they told us they are already in the nooks and corners of the state. So if they catch anybody engaging in vote buying or selling of votes, they will have their self to blame. My message to other key stakeholders and political parties should educate their supporters. They should mobilize their supporters. Candidates should reject violence. Community leaders should preach peace. Reverend traditional rulers must promote dialogue and engagement within their communities. Our religious leaders must speak against violence. The media must report responsibly. Civil societies must continue to mobilize citizens peacefully. Permit me at this point to reiterate that peaceful elections, they don't occur by chance. It is not an issue of chance or normalcy. They are a product of deliberate planning, effective collaboration, professional conduct, and unwavering commitment of all stakeholders to uphold the rule of the law. Security agencies should remain steadfast in their constitutional responsibilities by maintaining the highest level of professionalism, neutrality, discipline, and respect for the rights of citizens. Let this summit not mark the mere exchange of ideas, but the renewal of our collective commitment to ensuring that 15th August 2026 Osun State governorship election becomes a model of electoral peace, security, and democratic excellence in Nigeria. Our doors are constantly open for your advice and strategic recommendations. Your professional insights remain invaluable to the success of our preparations and operations. Let me at this point state that the success of any electoral activity extends beyond INEC alone. It demands the robust collaboration from all stakeholders. I wish to reaffirm INEC's commitment to transparency, professionalism, neutrality, inclusivity, and delivering an election that is free, fair, credible, inclusive, transparent, reflecting the will of the people of Osun State. We shall continue to work closely with security agencies and all stakeholders to ensure that every eligible voter cast their vote in an atmosphere of safety, dignity, and confidence. Together, we shall deliver a free, fair, credible, inclusive, transparent, and peaceful election in Osun State. Thank you for your commitment and service to Nigeria.
Please, if you're doing that, please let's do it one more time for her. Thank you, Honorable Rec, for that comprehensive, detailed, exhaustive state of readiness of INEC and the operational focus for Osun 2026. It was actually a deliberate act that we said the rec should do this because we understand, the understanding we have is that election security is not just about the gallant officers in uniform. It also has a lot to do with every one of us, most especially with the operation and the preparedness, operational readiness and preparedness of INEC, which is very important. I have seen a polling unit where I was, and voting material didn't arrive early. There was agitation, and they were really waiting for the ad hoc staff to come And the question is, where did they go to? All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Rec, for that. And at this point, what we want to listen to is actually the pre-election assessment, the pre-election risk assessment and early warning outlook of Kimpact Development Initiative. I have it on good authority that Kimpact Development Initiative as an organization has deployed what it called the Nigeria Election Violence Education and Resolution Framework since October 2025. That is close to about 8 months now in the state, tracking at the community level what are the risk actors, factors, and actions that could cause violence. And at this point, it is the insight that we want to listen to see the state of things in Osun before we now have our fathers speak to us. At this point, I'm bringing no other person other than the Executive Director of Kimpact Development Initiative, no other person other than Bukola Idowu. Thank you so much. Please do it better. Please do it better. Please do it better. Don't worry, I'll come back to tell you why.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Osun State, ably represented, our revered royal fathers, the Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, ably represented by the National Commissioner, the Honorable Reg, the Inspector General of Police, ably represented by the DIG, the Commissioner of Police, the AIG, the State Director of DSS, the Commandant, the Nigerian Army, and other security agencies, chairmen of political parties, religious leaders, the Christian Association of Nigeria, the Grand Imam of Osun State, all governorship candidates present, civil society organization, student bodies, the State Peace Mediation Working Committee, gentlemen of the press, the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, National Endowment for Democracy, and other development partners here present. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please, I want you to take a few minutes to just listen to my presentation as we prepare, going to the last lap of this event. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, here in the hall, and to all joining us on Channels Television and Rave FM, Western Spring Television, across Nigeria and the world, I say again on behalf of Kimpact Development Initiative, welcome to the Osun 2026 Election, Peace and Security Summit. We are gathered today in Osogbo for a purpose that is bigger than any political parties, bigger than any candidates, bigger than any campaign, and bigger than any single election. We are gathered to protect the peace of Osun State, to protect the dignity of the voter, and to protect the democratic future that belongs to our children. The topic before us is simple, but it carries the weight of history, that is safeguarding the 2026 Osun governorship election, a stakeholder's commitment to peace and security. Permit me to say this is not only a speech, it is an appeal on behalf of young people of Osun State, on behalf of civil society, on behalf of well-wishers and citizens of Osun State. It is an appeal. It is also a warning. It is also a prayer. And it is a commitment we must make together before the world watching us today. That Osun will choose democracy without fear, politics without violence, competition without hatred, and victory without bloodshed. Let me begin with the truth that should guide every person in this hall. Elections are meant to count votes and not bodies. Elections are meant to settle political disagreement through the ballot, not through bullets, not through machetes, not through intimidation, burning of houses, adoption of fear. When politics become violent, nobody truly wins. The winner inherits a wounded society. The loser inherits bitterness. The citizen inherits fear. The state inherits distrust. And democracy itself becomes weaker. Osun is a proud state. It's a state of culture, history, faith, learning, enterprise, and courage. Osun is home to communities that carries memory of Yoruba civilization and the promise of modern democratic governance. From Ile-Ife to Ilesha, from Iwo to Ikire, from Osogbo to Ede, from Ila to Ipetumodu, this land deserves an election that reflects its dignity, not the one that diminishes it. That is why our gathering today is urgent. Before we choose who we govern, we must first choose how we live together. Before politics is peace. Before power is humanity. And before political party is Osun state. And before ambition, there is life. At Kimpa Development Initiative, we do not come to this summit with rumors. We came with evidence of our electoral security risk assessment. This evidence is not used to accuse any political party or individual. It should be used as a mirror and early warning. The value of warning is not to predict doom, but is to prevent it. The assessment shows that in the last 12 months window, Osun has recorded 56 election-related violence incidents, compared with 26 non-election incidents. It also recorded 14 fatalities, 14 human beings, 14 dreams, 14 hopes of our states. Fatality linked to election-related incident, which is 65%, occurred in May and June 2026 alone as campaign intensified. This tells us something important. The security problem in Osun is not a general collapse of order. It is an election-specific pressure we are putting on ourselves. It is tied to campaigns, political mobilization, political ambition, stronghold, routes, party offices, symbolic communities, and the contest for advantage. What this means is that it can be prevented if, only if, we act early, act fairly, and act together. The anatomy of violence is also clear. It comes in recurring forms: physical assault, shooting, killings, destruction of properties, intimidation and harassment, killing and verbal attacks. You are coming into the Osun, you begin to see billboard destroyed, property, billboard destroyed, campaign poster destroyed. These are not abstract categories. Behind every assault is a body. Behind every shooting is a family. Behind every act of intimidation is a citizen who may decide not to vote. Behind every destroyed property is a community reminded that politics can burn down what ordinary people spend years to build. Politics can burn down what we spend years to build. For those of us in this room who have witnessed military rule, who have witnessed when we were not in democracy, some people gave their blood for this democracy we are practicing today. And when people are frightened away from the polling unit, democracy is robbed before the ballot is even counted. The data also show a painful irony. Political talks account for the largest share of recorded attack, which is 38 out of the 56 recorded. But party members and supporters are also the largest group of victims, followed by security personnel, civilian, and party officials. I'm talking about the victims. In other words, the same political ecosystem that sometimes produces violence is also the first to suffer from it. To our party chairmen, candidates, and campaign managers, this is why peace is not a favor you do for your opponent. Peace is self-preservation. The person attacked today may be a supporter of one party. Tomorrow, it may be your own agent, your own canvasser, your own ward coordinator, your own son, or your own daughter. Violence, let me say, violence is a fire which no one can control where the smoke goes. We must be honest. No credible election can be built on fear. No democratic mandate is strengthened by intimidation. A vote collected through fear is not a mandate. It is a wound. A victory won by suppressing another community is not leadership. It is a crisis that is postponed. The geographic concentration of the incident is another warning. Osogbo alone accounts for 23 out of 56 incidents and 9 out of 14 fatalities. That means the state capital carries 41% of recorded incidents and 64% of fatalities. If Osogbo is calm, Osun breathes easier. And if Osogbo is inflamed, the whole state will feel it. But we must not make the mistake of thinking only Osogbo matters. The assessment shows a deadly long tail in other local government areas, including Oriade, Irekodun, Irewole, Iwo, and Oboku, where a single or limited number of incidents still produce fatality. INEC has also come out to identify flashpoints, about 300 flashpoints in Osun State. If INEC can identify 300 flashpoints in Osun State, technically, what we are saying, if Osun State have 332 wards, what we are saying is an average of 1 flashpoint per ward. That is technically covering the entire state. Therefore, our peace strategy must be both focused and statewide. Concentrate where the risk is higher, but never abandon the places where one spark can still become a tragedy. Violence is becoming strategic, and that is why peace must also be strategic. One of the most important findings is that violence in Osun State is becoming strategic. 95% of key informants interview we did, describe election-related violence as concentrated around political stronghold, campaign routes, party offices, and symbolic community, rather than random across the state. This means the purpose of violence is not often to injure an opponent. Listen, the purpose of violence is not only to injure an opponent, it is also to shape the election. Studies have shown that violence is another form of rigging because you create fear in the heart of the people. It is used to depress turnout in opponent's stronghold, frighten party agents, scare voters, restrict candidate movement, and control campaign routes. So the operational question for security agencies is not only where has violence happened before. The question must now be to our dear security agency, where would violence give someone electoral advantage? If we protect these places early, we must remove the reward for violence. If violence no longer produces advantage, its sponsors will lose their incentives. Distinguished participants, there is a form of violence that does not always leave blood on the ground, but it damages democracy deeply. That violence is fear. Fear is what makes a woman say, I will not go to the rally. Fear is what makes a young person remove party colors before entering a community. Fear is what makes a polling agent withdraw from service. Fear is what makes a voter stay at home and later say, my vote doesn't matter because my safety comes first. Our assessment shows that citizens are already changing behavior because they expect violence. They avoid campaign rallies, they refuse evening political meetings, they limit campaign movements, they hide political affiliation. Some become reluctant to serve as polling agents. Some become reluctant to serve as election day observers. This is voter suppression before election day. This is an election being influenced before a single ballot is cast. Let me say this clearly. A peaceful election is not an election where nobody is killed, but it's an election where nobody is afraid to participate. Let me appeal to the candidates of all 14 political parties and the chairmen of your parties. Today, Osun is watching you. Nigeria is watching you. The world is watching you. But more importantly, your supporters are watching your tone, your body language, your restraint, your courage, and your maturity. Leadership is not only shown in how you pursue victory. Leadership is also shown in how you restrain your followers. A candidate who cannot calm his supporters before election may struggle to govern the citizen after election. A party leader who excuses violence because his favor is side today is preparing a danger that may consume his side tomorrow. This election must be a contest of ideas, records, programs, competence, vision, and service. It must not be a contest of talk, cult groups, weapons, intimidation, misinformation, or fear. Campaigns should persuade and not threaten. Rallies should mobilize and not terrorize. Party agents should protect votes, not provoke violence. Supporters should defend ideas, not attack fellow citizens. Democracy is built on sportsmanship. In sports, people compete strongly, but they respect the rules, the referee, the opponent, and the final whistle. Politics must learn from that. One person will win, others will not. But every candidate must leave the field with dignity, because the future may still call them to serve. This election will not be our last. Losing an election is not the end of public life, but destroying peace can destroy the very society you hope to govern. No ambition is worth a life. No victory is worth the peace of Osun. I repeat, no victory is worth the peace of Osun. When we were young in Osun, Osun prided itself as the most peaceful state. But I repeat, no victory is worth the peace of Osun. No office is valuable enough to create widows. People have been killed and their wives become widows, all because of election. No office is valuable enough to create widows, orphans, injured youth, burnt homes, or community divided by hatred. Let me appeal to young people, to the supporters, especially the young people. Do not allow anyone to rent your life for one election. How much are they going to pay you? Do not become a weapon in the hand of someone whose children are safe at home, in school or abroad, or protected by private security. Do not die for a politician who will later shake hands with the same opponent you were asked to attack. The assessment reminds us that politicians do not always build violent network from the scratch. They often activate existing structure like court groups, unemployed youth network, and factional unions. My appeal is direct. Refuse to be activated for violence. Refuse to be used. Refuse to carry the burden of another person's ambition. Your future is bigger than election day money. Your life is bigger than party color. Your name is bigger than a violent errand. If anyone gives you money to attack, intimidate, burn, adopt, or kill, they are not empowering you. They are only reducing you to a disposable item. Say no. If you have seen anybody that have killed and maimed for any politician, and after the election, the person is compensated with a commissionership or as a minister, show me one. They know where your capacity is. That when they are talking about anything intellectual, they won't bring you inside that place. Vote, campaign, debate, organize, monitor, report, but do not destroy, do not threaten, do not attack, do not kill. Let your generation be remembered as the generation that protected Osun democracy, not the generation that sold it to violence. Let me quickly appeal to the security agencies, to the Nigerian police, DSS, civil defense, Nigerian army, and all security agencies represented here today. Osun needs your professionalism, your neutrality, restraint, and courage, your presence. Your presence can calm a community, but only if community believes you are fair. Neutrality is not a public relations slogan. It is an operational necessity. It is called Nigerian Army, Nigerian Police for a reason, not APC, PDP, Accord, or any political party, police, or army. It is Nigerian Army. It is Nigerian Police. Therefore, the security task is not only to respond after a clash, it is to break the chain before violence begins. Deploy early, deploy neutrally, protect all parties, protect all voters, protect party offices, campaign routes, local government facility, collation center, community with known pressure. Be seen speaking with all sides, not one side. Be transparent in command decision. Correct false claim quickly. And where there is a violence actor, preempt them lawfully and decisively. As I'm told to round off, let me just quickly appeal to INEC. To INEC, credibility is also a security. Please note that when materials arrive late, rumors arrive early. When communication is silent, misinformation becomes loud. When citizens do not understand what is happening, suspicions fill the gap. Early deployment from RAC, clear movement plan, material tracking, contingent planning, and proactive public communication will do more than deliver an election. Thank you so much, Honorable Reg, for assuring the citizens of Osun this morning in your speech about the readiness of the Commission to conduct credible election come August 15. Most importantly, according to the National Chairman, conclusive election. Our royal fathers and traditional institutions, this state listen to you, sir. In ways they may not listen to government. In ways they may not listen to party or security agency. Your works can reduce temperature before the police arrive. Your palace can be a place of mediation before the court is approached. Your moral authority can stop a rumor before it becomes a crowd. We ask you to lead social repression of conflict. Call your sons, call your daughter to order, convey community dialogue, engage youth leaders, speak against violence publicly and privately, and stand as a trusted referee in your community, in place where social and communal pressure is high. Your role is not ceremonial, your role is essential. Please, the media, to the media, online influencer, radio presenter, bloggers, and all who share public information, in this election, your microphone can either prevent violence or provoke it. Words are not neutral. Headlines can calm or inflame. A rumor repeated without verification can become a crowd on the street. To the citizen, as I close, to the electorate of Osun State, this election belongs to you, not to thugs, not to rumor merchants, not to those who want to frighten you away. Your vote is your voice. Your peace is your power. Your participation is your right. Do not sell that vote. Do not sell your conscience. Do not sell the safety of your community. Reject violence. Reject inducement. Reject hate speech. Reject fake news. Verify information. Report threats. Encourage your neighbors to participate peacefully. On election day, go out with courage. Vote with dignity. Return home peacefully and allow the process to continue. A credible election is not produced by INEC alone, but it is produced by institutions, political party candidates, security agencies, citizens, media, civil society, working within the law.